So, and I think you guys remember this because I've reiterated it several times, but you'll get the usual emails from me too. The next class is going to be March 22nd, so it's actually a week later than what's on the brochure. And that is going to be out at the wastewater plant. I will send the address and directions. For those of you who don't know, it's right off of the prison grounds, down off of, I guess it would be East Mary, and then heading north.
And that's the 22nd.
That's the 22nd, so it's going to be a week later than usual. The actual recognition, which we would have done on the last council meeting in March, will actually be, barring any huge agenda shakeup, will be the first council meeting in April, and we'll get you a plaque. The council will celebrate you guys and all that. We'd like you to come. It's not mandatory, but usually you want to, that's the fruits of your labor, so they're going to thank you. Yeah.
What's the date? Because I'm here, it is holidays. What's the April date?
April 6th, and that would be it's either going to be the 6th or the 20th, and I'm going to push for the 6th, just to do it while everything's still fresh in our minds. And then the last thing is I send you guys out those QR codes and links. I'll try to remember to do that tomorrow so that you guys can give us a couple comments about the class. And by all means, if you want to comment on the class from 2 months ago, do that as well. We do review this with the directors and myself and Tim Vandal too, just to see if there's anything we want to change, update, improve, whatever. Your guys' feedback is what's important on that. So with that, you guys should have gotten very short bios from both Steve and Beth. And I think you probably know you guys know everybody. You guys know everybody in town. It's probably a moot point here, but real quick, Beth's lived in the area since '85, Emporia State University grad with a bachelor's degree in accounting, hired by the city. God, you were hired in '94. You've been here a long time. She was first the accountant, worked full-time for 6 years, part-time for the city, then to be home with her kids. And then in 2011, she was, I guess, hired or promoted? Both.
I guess I was already hired.
Yeah, so finance director for the city in 2011. Husband's Leaf, and she's got 3 kids. Leaf works at Pro Rehab, so.
Actually, he works at Select Physical Therapy. I missed that.
Oh, yeah.
He's not going to know. Nobody
2012 bio there.
They change names. Well, I'm the finance director, so I'll kind of cover my department. We are known best for handling missed trash calls. So if you have questions about that, you're probably talking to somebody in my department. But just kind of a brief overview of my department. Ken, you can move your slide on. There we go. It's myself, and then we have an accountant who handles accounts payable and general ledger. We have a utility billing clerk who does all the billing, and also she's our main point of contact for our waste management. So typically when you're calling in, you're going to talk to her first. She answers the phone usually. So, and then we have a municipal court clerk and the assistant municipal court clerk. So they're over on the other side of the building in the police department. If you're going up to the window to pay for your pet tags, or you unfortunately get a speeding ticket, you're going to be talking to one of them to pay those fees. So we're kind of split. So some of our responsibilities includes we administer and direct all the financial services for the city, which includes the budget, any type of accounting transactions that we do, cash receipts, accounts receivable, payable, payroll, utility billing, and then we also oversee court, which doesn't quite fall under finance, I guess. You wouldn't think of court and finance being mixed, but that's where we are. So we figure it out. Luckily, I have some good people in there who know the statutes and things that go on with that side of the finance. So go ahead and move on. So I just want to kind of do an overview of the different types of funds that we have in our budget. These 3 funds, the general fund, our debt service fund, and our library fund, these are our tax levy funds. So when you pay taxes, these are the funds that we use to levy those taxes. The general fund encompasses almost everything in our city, all our services, from streets to parks to finance to city clerk, all those departments fall under the general fund. The debt service fund, pretty self-explanatory. It pays all the debt issuances that we have, all the principal and interest on those different types of debt. And mostly we just have general obligation bonds. So, and then the library fund, they're just a tiny little piece of that, but that all the taxes that are collected for that fund go to maintain the library. So, the next slide will show you our enterprise funds. These are actually funds that are self-funded, through fees. So when you pay your sewer and trash bill, they go into these two funds. We've got a sewer utility fund and a solid waste fund. Your trash fees go into the solid waste fund, and they're basically turned around and we pay waste management for services. So they are self-funded. They don't require any tax dollars. And then the next slide, I won't go through all of these, but there are different types of funds. Our special revenue funds are specific for certain purposes. The state actually requires us to have a special highway fund. That is where the fuel tax is recorded. That's by statute. We have to put fuel tax into that special highway fund, and that helps with road maintenance. It pays the salaries for the employees that work with roads and maintaining them. Special Parks and Recreation is another one that it's funded by fees for different sports. So if you're registering your child for basketball, the revenue goes in there, and then the expense for the basketball program comes out of there. So those are the types of funds that have specific purposes, and they have, again, not many of them are affected by taxes. Yeah.
So will the pool go into special parks and rec?
The pool will probably, we don't know yet. I think it'll probably have its own fund because it's going to be more like a capital fund, I'm thinking. Right now, it's going to be funded, which we're going to issue debt for, but sales tax that has been, allotted for that. So it'll probably have its own fund so that we can see that sales tax is going directly toward expenses for that pool once we get to that point.
And that hasn't started to be collected yet.
It has not. No, it probably won't be. I think it's supposed to start in July, so we'll maybe see revenue by October. The state is kind of slow on getting us the funds. It takes them a little bit to start it up. So yeah, it could potentially be special revenue, but it may also be capital improvement. And then our capital improvement funds, moving right into that, those are, we have a general capital improvement fund, and that is where we do our mill and overlay program. I don't know, has Public Works, has Mike already talked to you? Okay, so he's kind of gone over how they rank the streets and all the different things that they do. That capital improvement fund pays for the mill and overlay, and then drainage, storm sewer issues. There is a transfer that is made from the general fund, and it's specifically sales tax dollars. We say it's sales tax dollars that goes into that capital improvement fund to help fund that, because there's really no revenue source from anywhere else. So, but we do keep it separate so that we can track those items. The Park CIP fund right now, if you go out to Bernard Park, they're building a big softball field. That's money that we issue debt for. We put it in the Park CIP fund, and it's paying that contract for all that work that's being done right now out there. Once that project is complete, that fund will probably go away, and then the maintenance of that park will either come out of Special Parks and Recreation or out of the Parks Department in the general fund. And then Town Center is the same way. The city purchased Town Center, and with the intent that we were going to market those properties and sell them. So we issued a temp note to purchase the property, and as we sell properties, the money that we make goes back into this fund with the intent of paying off that temp note.
Into the park CIP?
No, this is for Town Center, I'm sorry.
Okay, but as you sell it, it goes into the town center?
Yes, yeah, yep. And then we also have equipment reserve funds, and this is just a way to kind of allocate funds And this is, again, a transfer from our general equipment reserve is a transfer from the general fund. And this kind of helps us just allocate funds to replace equipment. And a couple of years ago, well, probably 10 years ago, we really were lumping it in with our budgeting process, and those items were kind of getting pushed to the side. So we wanted to be very intentional about replacing equipment as it wore out and having a way to do that without hitting the general fund and tax dollars. So every year there's a transfer made, and then we review equipment that needs to be replaced, and the council decides yes or no whether we're going to spend it. The police equipment fund, we set that up probably 6 years ago. No, maybe it was probably 10 years ago too.
Probably 10 years or more.
Yeah. So that is $5 from every citation goes
Moving
into
violation. Moving violation.
moving violation, sorry. From every moving violation goes into that reserve fund, and that helps pay. Every couple of years we can purchase a police car from it. We've done things like replace police radios. It just helps kind of keep equipment that the police department needs specific to them. And then Parkland is really, there's $24 in it right now. The only thing that is when developers come in, there is a park fee that they have to pay. A lot of times what developers will do is say, hey, we don't want to pay the park fee, but we will build a park or give space to the park trail system or whatever. So if they do choose to pay the park fee, it goes in here and then it's used to help, like the trail system, things like that.
So, I have a question. I just when I was thinking through this, like with the pool,
Yeah.
it's gonna cost a lot. And so, and we're gonna slowly pay that off
Mhm.
with the sales tax. But like, where do we get that money initially? Like, who's giving us the money to build the pool?
We're going to issue debt for that.
And
And so-
just like a bank, is it, I mean, where does that money,
Yeah,
where does that actually come from?
There are different investment companies and banks, typically it's banks that will bid on it, we'll put it out for bid.
Okay.
Yeah, we have financial advisors and bond counsel comes in and we do, we have an RFP and we do a bid process and then they bid on it and whoever has the lowest interest rate, so we go with. So, but yeah, it'll take us, we'll probably let it build up a year, the sales tax dollars, so that we have a cushion to pay the debt payments from that. So, yeah. So this is just kind of an overview of our general fund revenues. These are unaudited, so take that as you will, but it gives you a good idea. They're probably fairly close. Our general fund revenues total $7,461,588. And this just kind of breaks it out into the types of revenues and the percentage of that piece of the pie. Any questions there? Okay, moving on. These are the expenses. General fund, I just kind of listed it by departments and how it's broken out. Police department, it's a good chunk of it, but we have the most employees in that department, and so that makes
What's the
sense.
first one?
The first one, the 3%, is city clerk,
No, I'm sorry, on
Oh.
the non-department.
non-departmental, and actually that includes transfers. I thought afterward, I should have removed those transfers because that's not truly an expense, it's just moving funds out of it. It's things like insurance. Because it's not specific to one department, we have a non-departmental fund. Any legal expenses, things that cover all parts of the city. So. And then I did break out a couple of our other funds where we have salaries in the library, special highway and wastewater, just so you can kind of see the breakout of the percentages for the different types of expenses we have.
What does PW streets mean?
Public Works and Streets. Yeah. We have 3 departments. We have a Public Works department, and then we have our Streets department, and then we have a Street Lighting department.
And so, the state pays for the streets to to be paid, right?
No, the state does not pay.
Who does?
The city pays for it, so the taxpayers are paying for it, yeah.
Okay. So is that in there?
That would
Is
be
that the purple?
our CIP fund, that reserve, that CIP fund, that's where we pay for like mill and overlay of the streets. Yeah.
But keep in mind, like K7, that is
K7
maintained by the state.
That is maintained by the
That's a
state, that is a state road, that is not our road, so.
And how far, I'm pretty sure it's been answered, but how far up does that go?
K7?
Yeah.
It goes north of Atchison, I think it goes.
No, I'm sorry, I'm not, I don't mean physically, I mean like, they take care of it up until,
Spruce.
it's 4th Street here. Are you saying they take care of it all the way up to?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah.
No, they only maintain it to Spruce because the city of Leavenworth does K7 through the downtown area.
Okay, that's what I was
Yeah, I
wondering.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering, like,
That's why you
it's
don't
4th
see-
Street for us, it's not
Yeah.
a highway anymore.
So
Yeah.
they pick it up north of the fort again, when it's heading up towards
They
Atchison?
pick it up
Yeah,
on
'cause-
Metropolitan because you'll never see a state snowplow go down through downtown
Okay.
Leavenworth.
Oh, that makes
Well,
sense.
that's one that's,
Got it.
So at Spruce then?
I believe it's Spruce where they quit running. I don't know how they get a
That makes
snowplow down that
sense,
road
yeah.
anyway.
I never really thought about that, but. So yeah, that's state all through us, so don't blame us. You can blame us for the other ones. Moving on to the next slide. This is just kind of, if you're interested in property taxes and how to figure yours, this will kind of explain how property taxes are, they're based on mills and they're assessed through a mill levy, and the mill is equivalent to $1 for every $1,000 of assessed property value. And so your total mill levy for Lansing was 140.174 mills. And if you look, the 2022 mill levy was higher. It was 145.516. The city portion, because we don't collect all of that, our portion is 36.448 for 2023. And ours actually went down. There's been a lot of talk, I'm sure you guys all heard about the revenue neutral rate. Our council really wanted to try to maintain the revenue neutral rate and not exceed it. So we did that, and so our mill levy went down quite a bit. We were at 41 mills in 2022. So, and all the revenue neutral rate is that they look at what the assessed valuation of the city was. Like for this year, they'll look at it, what was it in 2023 when they're trying to figure for 24 budget. They're going to look at it, and then they're going to look at what our current assessed valuation is, what that is in mills, in dollars. So they just take they don't factor in any kind of inflation. That's the drawback to that is, you know, as gas goes up and other commodities go up, we have to adjust our budget for that. But the state is looking at it like, no, this is what you assessed last year at this rate, and this is what your current mill levy should be to keep that same property tax rate for
Would
people.
that likely reverse this next year, you think then, with property values dropping?
It could, yeah. Yeah, it can go the other way. So our revenue neutral rate could go up. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if
Because that would be pretty unique, I don't think that's happened, has it?
it hasn't.
In '08 maybe, '08, '09?
I don't even know. It might have been. It might have stayed pretty flat those
Yeah.
years, but I don't think I've ever seen it like drop significantly. So that'll be interesting. If you flip to the next one, it kind of. So this is how you would calculate your property tax if you're interested in doing it, and all you have to do is take the value of your home. They only tax 11.5% of it, so you need to take it by 11.5%. And then take it by whatever the mill levy is, and then you divide that by 1,000.
I didn't see that.
Nope.
You gotta start over now.
So go ahead and flip to the next one, and it kind of gives you a whole chart. This is kind of you don't want to do it yourself. You can look at this chart. So really, if you look, Lansing's dropped. Our mill levy in 2022 was 41 point something mills. All the other entities, they didn't go up, but they didn't, or they might have gone up maybe like a couple thousandths of a point, but they didn't drop down to that revenue neutral rate. I think we were one of the few cities that tried to maintain that revenue neutral rate. Almost every other city I talked to, they were going to exceed it. They tried to drop it a little bit, but they weren't going to drop it 4 mills. So, any questions about
Did
that?
the county, I think the county dropped it maybe a half mil to a mill?
The county was like half a mil, I think, or a quarter of a mil. So the fire department went up to like, I think they were at maybe 8.923 or something. So, and then this is the breakdown of the property tax, where your tax dollars are actually going. So if you look, actually, school district takes up a good chunk of it. And then Lansing and the county are at about 26%. Fire district, they're the purple, and then the state has a little bit in there. So when your taxes go up, don't always assume it's us, because they went down this time. Well, and if your assessed valuation didn't go up at all, your taxes should have gone down a little bit. But I don't know of anybody whose valuation did not stay the same. So,
Quick question. Do you
Yeah.
have something that shows trend over time, so we can know how much those tax entities are increasing their percentage, and who's gotten the most?
I don't have it in this slideshow. I could give you one.
But that's
but-
something new.
Yeah. Yeah, I have I have a couple spreadsheets I keep with all the data on it, so.
If you want to get that to me, I could distribute it to the class in an email later.
Okay.
So it'll be nice to see which tax entities getting the most in the last maybe 3 years.
I'll say it stays pretty much the same. I mean, it may go up or down a percentage point, but for the most part, the percentages don't vary that much. So.
Is that a pretty common split out for most cities, or do you know?
I think for the most part it is. It depends though, because like if the fire department is part of a city, that changes things. So, yeah, I would say that's a fairly reasonable estimation of a city our size.
And so I think some cities have libraries as taxing entities as well, so that would,
Yeah,
be
they have a
small part
separate,
of
they're a
the
separate taxing entity, and so it just depends on what other taxing entities are in your city that would affect your taxpayers as well, so.
So on the top one on the left-hand side, so it says state 1.5, that's 1.5 mils?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
So on the fire department, is that a mistake where it says $8? Or is that supposed to just be?
Yeah, I don't know how that dollar sign got in there. It should just be 8 mils, yeah, it's like 8.9. 8 mils,
Almost 9.
yeah, almost
A
9.
year,
Yeah, it's not million,
right?
a mil, yeah, okay. Yeah, so if you have a $200,000 house, where's the fire district? $205 roughly of your taxes are going to pay for the fire district. So. Good questions. You can study that. Take it home. Yeah, that's right. We'll have a test at the end. So.
Well, no, it's just interesting seeing this, because I just finished the school district had, what was that again? Strategic planning.
Oh, uh-huh.
And, most of our kids are at school, and they're having challenges with teacher recruitment and retention, and it's affecting kids, right? And
Mhm.
it's all intertwined, because if your school rating dips, it affects home values.
Right.
And who wants to live in a place where, so it's just, so the question was, well, how do we recruit teachers, and do we throw more money how do we stay competitive? So
Yeah.
just looking at this and seeing how much of that is going to the school district.
Is that
Essentially,
because of high
it's
school?
just not sufficient.
There is, I mean, that does have debt from the high school in there.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sure it's because of the new high school debt.
yeah, they're still paying on debt for that, so.
But it's struggling with recruiting teachers.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a common problem with, and yeah, it costs money. I mean, as a city, we struggle with that too. How do we keep police officers, you know? We gotta stay competitive or we start to lose out. And that affects the whole community as well, you know, so yeah. Any other questions before we move on? All right, on to our favorite subject, which is trash. We also have sewer, which is on you, if you get a little blue and white card, it's sewer and trash. People don't usually focus on that. We do a re-averaging of your sewer rates once a year. And it usually occurs on your June 1 bill. You'll see it if your sewer usage has changed. We use the months of December through March, typically because we feel like that's low usage. You're not filling up a swimming pool, you're not watering your yard in those months. But at any time, we do it once a year. We have to go through 2,700 accounts to do it. At any time during the year, you are more than welcome to bring in 3 months' worth of your water bills, and we will re-average for you. You just need to bring them in, and we can do that for you if you think you're being overcharged on that. And then trash removal, it's $17.13 a month. You can get an additional cart for $10 a month if you have a lot of trash and you would like a second cart. You can do that. What else was I going to say about that?
What if your teenager just doesn't want to take the trash?
I can't help that. One issue that we've been having lately, and I'm not sure why, but and I'm going to try to put out something here because we've had a couple issues with it where if the carts are located, if you put them out and they're too close to a car, they will not get it because of that arm that comes out, and also that they're getting stricter about them being 3 feet apart. So like when you set your carts out, if you would just make sure that there's enough space for that arm to get in there. And the other thing is if you have a bunch of trash, don't overload it. Because they will not take it. If there's a chance that it could damage something as they're dumping it into the truck, and that's thousands of dollars to fix. So if it's really, like if the lid is up and there's a bag sitting there, we had our neighbors do that one morning, and I said to my husband, go grab their bag, we got room in our cart, because they're not gonna take it, you know? So just kind of some things to be aware of. We do have overage stickers that you can purchase. They're $2. They're 5 on a sheet, so you can buy a sheet for $10 and just keep it handy if you need it. But just some things to kind of help keep you getting your trash picked up and getting good service. The other thing that we try to stress is don't put any plastic bags in with recycling. Don't put styrofoam. Don't put pizza boxes. Make sure you wash out containers. Anything that has not been washed out, and my husband does this all the time, he'll put, like he eats cottage cheese, and he'll just put it in there, and I'm like, you've got to rinse it out. Anything that has food in it contaminates the whole batch, and then they have to throw it away. Yeah, so we're really trying to stress.
I don't think anybody knows that.
We have a brochure that is on our website that shows all that, and it's been a while since we put it in the connection. We used to put a little flyer out.
I don't know though, that probably people know they should rinse out stuff, but
Not that it
maybe don't
contaminates-
realize the impact.
Right.
Yeah.
What that means, I know.
And I'm on the Leavenworth Solid Waste Committee as well, and they did say that they are collecting plastic bags at their site for, I think it's the Lions
Yeah.
Club,
Yeah.
who are using that, I mean, they donate them to this company that makes, Trex, that makes like park benches and stuff out of these plastic bags, so.
At the transfer station, though.
Mhm. Yeah, The transfer station also does recycling, so
Yeah.
if you're just overloaded with recycling, you can take it there and there's no charge.
Yeah.
Like, where's the
We
transfer
take
station?
glass and.
It's on, yeah, it's, so if you go out and you head south on 7, you know where Gilman is?
Yes.
Instead of turning right, turn left, and it's about maybe a mile down the road on the right.
So, and I'm so, yeah, it's a dump. The
Yeah.
charge, every time I go there, I get charged.
Not for
And
recycling.
I never understand why I'm paying for trash and then, like, I'm still getting charged to.
Yeah, if you take large items or items out there, I think it's like $6 or something for a carload. But you do get, recycling is free. You'll see if you pull in and don't go up to the scale, you'll see there are like some dumpsters and a place where you can park. And they have like a big dumpster that has like these thin slats. That's where you put your cardboard. But they have a glass recycling area.
Okay, so you don't have to go to the dump?
Right, yeah, there's no charge. The only limit is that you're limited to their hours of operation.
Right.
So that's, you can't access it when they're closed.
I looked it up on Saturday at 1:30, and it was like 1:45, and I was like.
Yeah.
I have a question. Well, for one thing, you were just arguing about cardboard, but you put cardboard in recycled bins, right?
You can, but you have to break it down pretty
Yeah.
small,
Okay.
so. So I just usually flatten, like I have a stack this high from Christmas in my garage that I'm gonna flatten and take just out to the transfer station. Because then it doesn't fill up
When you
the
say
car.
break it down, I'm sorry, Luke, since we're on that one. If it fits, like if I just fold it, pardon, and if it fits inside the recycle, then, I mean, are you saying we have to like cut it up or whatever, or as long as it fits in the bin?
If it'll fit in the bin, that's fine, but like if it expands once you've folded it up and then it blocks things, they can't guarantee that cart, I mean, I know it's forceful.
I get what you're saying. As long as it falls out of it. it's
Yeah.
able to fall out. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if you meant like
For
that.
some
or
reason, I
like-
thought you weren't supposed to put corrugated cardboard into the.
They're okay with that now.
Okay.
I don't know what the difference is, but.
I was surprised at glass, though. I guess before recycling, I've been able to mix glass in with everything, but.
Yeah, and they have a reason for that. Something with the way they have their screening set up, because there are places you can recycle glass.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they've never taken glass. And at one point, they were promising us that they might start taking it, but they haven't ever. So the the transfer station would be a good place for that.
This is minor. We moved this past summer from Lansing to Lansing, but in two different neighborhoods. And with the trash cans where we used to live, they would put them out on the curb. Where we live now, they don't put them in the street. They put them like.
On their driveway?
On the driveway, but right on the edge. And
Yeah.
I feel like, I'm used to putting on the curb, I'm like, I think people do that, but.
It's easier on the curb. In my neighborhood, there are people who do that, and I'm like, I'm putting it on the curb because I want to make sure they can access it without any
I just
trouble.
wondered, I was like, was I doing this wrong for?
No, it should be, well, I put it actually in the street, like,
Right, that's what
our
I
curb
mean.
kind of dips
Yeah,
down,
yeah.
and I don't want it to rock back, so I
Right.
like to set it on the street, just like,
Yeah.
Just in front of the curb.
yeah. Yeah, there are some neighborhoods where there's like no curb and guttering, so they're kind of challenged with that. They might have to put it at the end, but I'm always like, don't put it in your driveway, just put it on the curb, so they can get it. As they replace trucks too, they're getting more, I guess, systems where they can track things. So now a lot of times if somebody calls in and says, hey, my trash wasn't picked up, they'll come back with like, well, the driver reported this, and they'll even send a picture sometimes. So that's helpful. And I think they're talking about getting cameras inside the recycling cart so they can see as it goes in before they contaminate a larger batch if there's a truck that has contaminated material. And while we're on the transfer station, every year you are entitled to one free load taken to the transfer station. So all you have to do is say, I want to use my free drop-off for this load, and then you have to show proof of where you live. But it's anybody in the county. So
No televisions.
I think they take e-waste.
No, they don't take televisions. I had to call somebody.
Really? Okay, I'm going to have to ask them that. Was it like a flat screen, or was it?
Yeah.
Because I've taken one there, I thought. I'll have to ask them.
It's just February, so can I kind of call them for 2022?
No. once, they start the year over, so it's once a year. Nope, but, please use that, because that's a service, and everybody's entitled to one free dump there, so. It is one carload, it's not like, hey, I was just here with my last load, this counts toward, no, it's one
Well,
carload.
recycling is free, so it's
Yeah.
just like moving boxes.
It'd be,
That's what I-
yeah, moving boxes, you just take them, just flatten them and slide them in those things, but yeah, if you have big items. The other thing is waste management will also do one large item pickup a year for residents. So you have to call them directly, but you can call us and get the number if you need it. It's also on our website. And the reason you call them directly is because they need to know what it is. They need to know, I think they plan out these pickups, and so they want to make sure they have enough room in the truck to get whatever item it is. If it's a mattress versus, yeah.
So they'll do one a year? every
Yes,
year?
yes. Get one,
Aren't you glad it's not
Yep.
just
Is there a
regular
size,
purpose? Just
is
waiting.
there a limit on
It's
what
recycling.
how big is too big, or?
I mean, I haven't heard, I know people have had like a mattress before. Now, they won't take your whole living room. I mean, it'll be like one item, maybe two items, but it's usually like, hey, I have a couch,
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
Right.
So-
They took my sleeper sofa.
Oh.
Amazing, the way they just scrunched it at the.
You just put it out on the.
They'll tell you, yeah, they'll schedule you with a date, and it may be a couple weeks, so you might have to put up with it for, And then the one other thing is, if those arms, I think sometimes they're not calibrated right when they pick up your cart, or your cart lands weird, and a wheel falls off, or they get cracked, or the lid blows off. Call us and just say, hey, my cart is damaged, I need a replacement. And we'll ask you whether it's your trash or recycling cart. Typically, it's 5 to 10 business days. Occasionally, we'll send it in and it'll be a month. So call us back if they don't, but they replace those for free, so.
Does Waste Management, are they the ones that pick up the yard waste as well?
They are, yeah.
That seems fairly inconsistent.
It is fairly inconsistent, and we've talked about that because, again, we have the transfer station where you can take yard waste, and we feel like that's not their main business, so they're not as good at it.
Yeah.
And it's also hit or miss more because not everybody has yard waste every week.
Right.
So, but they seem to it seems to be the same neighborhoods that they're inconsistent in.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah. We're on a cul-de-sac and it just,
yeah.
it can sometimes be weeks.
Yeah. I know, I've gone out and picked up yard waste before just because it was, So we're looking at we're exploring different alternatives for that. But right now, it's included in that cost, and anything else we would do would be an additional cost. So we're kind of like, and yard waste, people don't, it does start to smell, but it's not like trash where in the middle of summer you're like, my trash can is full and it smells, and it's been this way for 2 weeks or whatever. So it's not as high priority as like, we really want really good trash service. We would really like recycling to be really good because we want to encourage that. And yard waste kind of, while it's important, it's also like, hey, we got to make sure everybody gets their trash first. So when they're short drivers and stuff, that's what suffers. But we would rather have it that way than somebody not have trash like that.
Yard waste, you can have a separate bin for yard waste, right? Is that just something?
We are encouraging people to do bags because, and they have to be the paper
Right.
recyclable bags. Because if it's missed and we have to resort to staff getting it, they can't, those carts are really hard to lift. I mean, they have the machines to do it. We don't have a machine, we got 2 guys.
You literally are going out.
And I've gone out with my van before and put bag, like if I'm like, oh, I'll just go, a lot of times I'll say, well, is it, how many bags is it? Oh, it's 2 bags. Okay, I'm just gonna run by there and throw it in the car, or we've got public works guys who, now they have a truck over there and I'll, email them, could you please go pick these places up, they've been waiting. So
during the fall, when
mhm.
so I'll get those paper bags, whatever, and it'll be, I I'm 18, 19,
There's a limit of 12.
that's
each
what I was
week.
wondering, 12 per week?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, because, like, they'll take them, but sometimes it's never the whole time.
Yes.
I didn't know, like, what I was shooting for as far as.
And I'll tell you, sometimes they will take more. I think it depends on how full their truck is. Like, I've seen drivers who, I know there's more bags out there, and they loaded them all up. So I think it just depends on how many bags they've already picked up and that they've seen on their route already. So, yeah, but 12 is the limit per week. And then, of course, December, January, February, they just pick up the first week of the month. There's not enough people that have yard waste out to make it economical for them to be out here every week with trucks. So, but come March, they'll be out there every week, we hope. Seems to take a couple weeks before they get back on the schedule.
So where do they take that yard waste? 'Cause there's compost.
They take it, I think it's someplace in Johnson County. They can't take it to the landfill, so they have to
They
take it
wouldn't
to,
want them to.
yeah, no.
Yeah, I don't do that, I just compost in the bag.
Yeah, it's some kind of composting area because,
Great dirt.
yeah.
Does the transfer station have compost?
Yeah, you can take your,
So
you can take your, they don't take it to our transfer station. They take it somewhere in Johnson County. But, and you can take your bags out there if you wanna, you can empty them and reuse them or.
You don't have to go in through the weigh thing and stuff like that?
You
or
go
do
in, I think it's that, I mean, I've paid $6 before to take it, but I'm willing to take it. For $6, you can have it. They don't want it bagged. They'll give you, they say, go to lot A or lot B, and there's 2 different areas, depending on the type of waste you have. Now, if you're loading up, like, a lot of times what we do is we'll load up a truck bed and we'll just throw leaves in it. Make sure you tarp everything, because they will charge you a tarp fee, so. Any other questions?
I want to mention the phone number people can call when there's a holiday coming up in terms of delays.
What is that phone number again? I
Yeah,
can't remember.
I know in the Friday e-blast, I got it posted on the right-hand side every Friday, that number, but I don't have it memorized.
And I always go to the Facebook page to see if you posted something about it.
Yeah, and we try to put it on the website too, in a banner up on top, like,
Yeah.
trash not affected, or, whatever. And if there's bad weather, we try to put it there, we try to blast it out on email. I'm trying to think where else. Also, if your trash is missed, the sooner we get the sooner we get notice that it was missed, the sooner we can get them to respond, because they technically have 24 hours to respond. Our trash pickup's on a Thursday. That you call us Friday mid-morning, they don't pick up residential on the weekend, so it could be Monday before the trash got picked up. So if you want to go online, we do have a form. You can fill it out and submit it, and then we can, a lot of times I see those come through and I forward them right away. It'll be 8 o'clock at night, and then we just forward them on to them. So they have it first thing in the morning, so hopefully, and a lot of times they have another route that they work, I think up on Post on Fridays, so as they're coming back through in the afternoon is when they come around and get those. So it also helps us for tracking purposes, just to keep track of like, hey, where have you been missed? What are you missing consistently? What's wrong with this? So it helps us get those issues resolved with them. Good questions. Okay, on to municipal court. This is another function we do. This is actually the courtroom. We had court this morning. So if you get a ticket and you are sure that you weren't speeding and you want to come talk to the judge, we have court the 2nd and 4th Wednesday mornings of each month. And then we have trials on the 3rd Friday of each month. So they handle bench warrants, they do all the dockets. Our court clerk assists the judge. She's up here we'll have a defender, a public defender. If you can't afford to have an attorney, hire an attorney, you can fill out paperwork and he can represent you. And then we have a city prosecutor. So it's kind of interesting to watch if you're ever, just looking for something to do, come to court. See what happens. Sometimes people are crying, see all kinds of emotions. So these are just kind of the duties of our municipal court. can move on. And then I just kind of like to highlight the value of your city, the value your tax dollars give for city services. And from anywhere from police protection, we've got our parks, we've got the library, we do community events. I don't know, when it snows, our streets look pretty good. I think our street guys do a good job that those tax dollars are paying to help get those maintained. And all these other services. So. And then I think final slide, any other questions or comments? Oh, okay, all right. Well, thank you for your time, and those were some really good questions. So hopefully trash issues, now you know what to do, where to go to check and make sure, A lot of people assume like Martin Luther King Day is a holiday. This year we had a really big issue with Christmas and New Year's, because Christmas and New Year's, the holiday is Christmas Day was the 25th, and everybody wanted to argue, no, the 26th was the day off, but it wasn't for waste management. They were picking up as normal, so, and they say, we prefer to just keep our regular schedule. It's harder when we have a holiday, so yeah, that threw a couple people. They were like, no, it should have been Friday because the holiday was Monday, and I was like, no, Christmas Day was Sunday.
I think you were talking at the beginning, your last name is Leaf?
Sanford, my husband is Leaf.
Leaf.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. I know there's a counselor named Leaf.
Oh, yeah, I know. I keep telling my husband that. There's
And so I was like,
Leaf.
he's the only one that's the only one I've ever heard, so I didn't know if there was a connection.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
We had an economic development director,
Yeah,
Stephanie
Stephanie Leaf.
Leaf, L-E-I-F. There's water as we're between speakers here, so if anybody wants to get up and stretch or have some water.
5 minutes too long. Gotta go home.
Write me a ticket.
Sometimes they have side bets.
Yeah.
You never know. All right, anyway, water over there if anybody feels bathroom. But we'll go ahead and get going. We still finished 10 minutes early. What's he griping about?
She said 45 when she walked in.
Oh, okay. Don't set the bar high. All right, so Steve Wayman grew up in the Lansing area, and he graduated from Lansing High in '86. He started with the police department in 1990. In '97, he was promoted to sergeant. '03, promoted to lieutenant. '04 to captain. And in '05 was promoted to the position of chief of police, where he currently resides. Graduated from Baker with a bachelor's degree in business administration. And in 2015, he went to Quantico and graduated from the FBI National Academy. So, Steve Wayman.
That's where the balloon is now.
Yes.
That's where the balloon is now, yeah.
Take it easy on the tickets with him. Just take it easy.
I'll take it anyway. Hi, I'm Steve Wayman. Like he said, I grew up in Lansing. My parents lived in Lansing my whole life. They bought a house. They bought a house in 1965 here in town. So I've been in this area a lot. My mom retired from Hallmark Cards, and my older sister retired from Hallmark Cards. So either people know me or they know my parents, and I get a lot of that. So I've got two older sisters. We all graduated from Lansing. My oldest sister graduated in '74, and my next closest sister graduated in '76. So I'm kind of an oopsie baby after 10 years apart. But I've been here for a long time. I believe right now I'm now the senior person within the city. After Jeff Folk left last year
That's right.
with 41, at 33 years, I'm the senior person. Yeah, I'm one of those people 30 years ago when he started. I'm now one of the old people. I've grown up through the police department. This was my first police department job. Before this, I worked construction. I did house building. I did worked for Basil's back in the day when they did all the remodeling down in downtown Leavenworth with a lot of the buildings down there and stuff. So I wanted a career that I wasn't out in the cold in the wintertime and out in the heat in the summer. So I picked this job, and somebody wrecks in the summer, you're out there for a while in the heat, and if they wreck in the winter, you're out there in the wild in the cold. But it's been a good 33 years. A lot of changes from when I started in 1990. I can remember that when I started in police work, I rode with the sergeant for 2 weeks, and he goes, "Well, you grew up here, didn't you?" And I went, "Yeah." And he goes, I said, "Yeah, you graduated with my sister." And he goes, "Yeah, that's right." And he goes, "Ah, you're good to go." He goes, "You'll be on midnights by yourself tomorrow, and I'm going back to the road." So I had 2 weeks of training, and then I worked a midnight rotation for almost a year by myself with 2 weeks of training before I went to the training academy. So yeah, we don't quite do that like that anymore.
Where's the training?
The training academy that we send our officers to is it's south of Hutchinson. It's outside of a little town called Yoder, Kansas. It's about 10 miles south of Hutchinson. It's an old naval air station from World War II that the state got a hold of, and then they converted it. When I went there in 1990, I think they still had the cots from World War II that you slept on. I can remember laying in bed. I went in January and February. When I went, it was an 8-week academy. It's now 14 weeks, and they're talking about going to 16 plus. But I can remember laying in bed and watching the drapes go out and come back in and feeling snow hit me in the face because the cracks around the window. So it's upgraded. It's not as it's a very good facility now. They've done a lot of upgrades on everything, but that's just how it was back then. I started out. I can remember getting in-car camera systems that were VHS. We've gone from VHS to CD-ROM to digital, and right now we're kind of phased out in-car cameras because the problem is that they cost, and then every time we buy one, we have to buy a whole new server system that goes along with it, and it gets very expensive. So I'm trying to research what I can get. Axon, which is the same company that we buy our tasers and our body cameras from, they would happily give us in-car systems, but then they charge for cloud storage, and I pay about $12,000 a year just for body cam footage to be housed. So it would probably double, if not double and a half that if I put car systems on there too. So it comes down to a dollar amount of what we can afford and what we can put in there on that. Go ahead before I get sidetracked on old times. 11,600. It depends on what we have as to who you talk to. It's anywhere. Population of the city is anywhere from 10,000 to 12,000. Sometimes they count the prison population, sometimes they don't. So 10 to 12,000. If anything pops off in the prison, we do help with security around the prison. We do not go inside the walls. We do perimeter security. If a year or two ago they had the riot. It was the biggest letdown I ever had. I sat out there for a while and watched them throw papers out the windows and went, "This is a riot." I expected so much more. We cover about 11 square miles for the city limits. We have about 50 miles of roadway. That 25,000 commuters a day, I think that's a very low number. I think there's a lot more on K7.
I was just going to say, how do you know that?
Usually you get them off KDOT stats, and they run them every couple of years. So those are probably old stats. But I would be closer to bet we're probably about 32,000 cars a day on it.
Just
Cars going up and down Main Street every day. Yeah, you've got probably have about 32,000. I would guess 32,000 because there's a lot more traffic now than there ever has been. And I get a kick out of that because I just love it when people sit there and we've got the speed trap coming into town, and all we do is write tickets, and we're all of that good stuff. I think if on a good month, and we haven't had a good month in a while, I may get 250, maybe 300, and that's on a really good month. Citations, and when you start going on 300 a month, 30,000 cars a day. Yeah, I can't help it. We're on a main drag. Usually a traffic stop, depending on how fast the officers are. You're probably talking 5 to 7 to 8 minutes on a traffic stop, so how many cars go by you on that? So, of course, they always see us here. The one good thing I will say is that, if everybody thinks that, we're a speed trap or anything coming in, and, I always get I always know when I come into Lansing, I look at the speed limit and I slow down and I'm going this. If that's what I get out of people and it slows them down coming into the wreck, because I'll be honest with you, I've worked too many accidents where I've had to knock on doors and tell them bad things that happen, and if people are sitting there going, "You're a speed trap," and I slow down because of that. Yeah, I'm all for that.
So do you think on Gilman and Highway 7, I've come to this council to ask for a stoplight.
You'll never get a stoplight there.
Well, KDOT came, but they came during COVID when no one was on the street.
You're not going to get a stoplight there.
Why?
Not enough fatalities. People got to die before KDOT
We
put
just
away.
had somebody die. How many deaths do you need?
There,
here?
when's the last one that died down there?
Pardon?
When's the last one that died down in Gilman?
The motorcycle guy.
He didn't die.
Yeah, he did.
No, he didn't.
He did.
Nope. Nope. He dislocated and compound fractured his elbow. He broke his pelvis in 4 or 5 places. He's currently in traction, letting it all heal. He hit that car and there was an EMS unit following him, and I was sitting outside when that accident happened. I heard it. And me and the other guy was standing out there said he's going way too fast for this, and I heard the thunk, and he hit the car, and he landed in the grass.
Well, those same 32,000 that are coming by Lansing, they're coming up from.
You'll never get a light there.
Can we get a?
So close to this
How
one, too.
come Piper, Holfer has a stoplight?
You'll never get a light there because there's no way to do that intersection to affect.
There's a light there on Holfer.
No, at here at Gilman, with the bridge, with that bridge sitting there and the way that road comes out, KDOT won't put, there's not enough deacceleration in there to make a turning lane and make that effective.
Can they put a four-way stop sign there?
No, KDOT won't do it. My recommendation to KDOT was take the 50-mile-an-hour speed limit all the way out past McIntyre and slow it down. That's going to do more to reduce your traffic on it because it's been 50 miles an hour all the way up to Olive since I've worked here. And with all the building of houses and everything down there, the only thing that will slow it down is, you know, you've got better chances because when you're hitting down this hill at 50, 60 miles an hour, it's just that. I mean, the only thing that's going to slow the racks down is just the reducing the speed that people hit that intersection
It
with.
is amazing how many people don't know that we drive on the right-hand side of the highway, not the left. So they come to that
And they're
island
afraid.
and they go left, and they're over here,
Yep.
if they want to be in that lane to get up. I think USAA has had more insurance problems
Yeah.
with that intersection.
Yeah, I'm not telling you it won't happen. I'm just telling you KDOT's not going to dump a light on it.
Yeah.
On there. It's just that creek and the location of that where it all comes out is just not going to map out for anything. But your speed limit's it because they need, like I said, they need to go all the way down past McIntyre because I agree with you. Having buses come out of that bus barn onto that intersection, having construction, the dump trucks coming out of the dump, the concrete trucks coming out of there. Yeah, it's that. And the only thing that will get KDOT's answer is fatalities. And it's
That's why we all go in Rock Creek, we all go the back way.
yeah, and it's so much easier. Honestly, when I go down Main Street anymore, I go all the way out to McIntyre. If I come out, I live in Leavenworth, and I go down DeSoto Road all the way to McIntyre because I bypass
If you
everything.
ever want to sit in my driveway and you need a fundraiser, just let me know. You are welcome to sit.
But,
And I'll tell you what time to come.
But yeah, and that's what it comes down to on intersections, fatalities. And it's got to be more than, when I say fatalities, you got to have multiple people dying a year to even get their attention. One every 5 years, they're not even going to waste their time with. I guarantee it. They just won't do it. I mean, we've had, this intersection out here wasn't necessarily done correctly on it, and I would say we haven't had a lot of fatalities. We've had a few out here, but I mean, they're not going to redesign this intersection on it. But unfortunately, that's what it takes with KDOT is fatalities on there. So, but yeah, slowing it down, that's, like I said, it needs to be 50 all the way out to McIntyre. But they don't want to do that because they don't want to cut the time down of people getting down to Kansas City, so that way they have their green light on there. Go ahead. Right now, my department, I have, like Beth said, I have the biggest department. I'm allotted for 19 officers. I don't have 19 officers. Right now, I have one current open position that I've had since September. I just had a guy last Friday turn in his 2-week notice. I've got one of my senior guys retiring the 1st of October. I believe my captain will probably be retiring in 2024. And that's going to be 3 open positions that I've got to try to get filled. I have a lieutenant. I don't have a lieutenant's position up there. So I have a lieutenant. My lieutenant is currently in Quantico, Virginia, attending the FBI National Academy. This Friday, he'll be at his halfway point. It's a 10-week academy in Quantico, at the military base at Quantico. I have 3 road sergeants, 1 full-time detective, 12 road officers, which includes 1 SRO that runs through the school, During the summertime, he actually comes back out into the patrol division, and he works patrol. And I have 2 part-time officers. I used to have reserves, but that's kind of went by the way of the dodo, because one thing I found out reserves over the years is that everybody really wants to do it until they get into it, and then you go through all the training, you spend all the money, and then life comes up, and my kids got soccer, and my wife wants to do this, and my job's doing this, and it just phased itself out, because it does cost. I have one full-time police records clerk, and I run on a budget of about $2 million a year, and 84% of that is payroll. That's overtime, that's base salaries overtime, and that's not enough. I can tell you that right now. And I can give an example of that. Doing some of every year I do some work about every entity in the county, and it's a constant chess game right now. If you're a police officer and you have certification, you're marketable on that. The big one that just dropped right now is Overland Park. Olathe was one of the big ones. Overland Park just dropped, and if you have they'll give you credit for every year of service going on in their department, and their top out is $97,000 a year for a patrol officer. So I've got officers that have been with me for almost 20 years that could go there and make 30 grand or more a year walking in the door. You know, just I can't deal with it. I think Olathe is $89,000 a year. Johnson County Sheriff's Department is about $89,000 a year. It's just a constant chess game. We make a bump, everybody else makes a bump, and I don't know where it's going to end. I don't know when it's going to end on it, but it's getting bad enough where everybody's short enough that all you can do is throw money at it. And there's just no. I mean, I've got one open position, and I've had in the last 3 months I've got 2 or 3 people that have actually applied, and we've got to do all the backgrounds on that. Now that my one guy's leaving, and he just got a deal. His father-in-law gave him a deal on a house down south of Sedalia, Missouri, that he's like, I just can't pass this up. I have to go. My wife wants me to go, and I don't have a choice. So he's going down to Cole Camp, Missouri, to moved into the house. But I got to fill his position. I've got one currently at the academy. So right now I'm running 2-3 officers short without the lieutenant. Lieutenant runs the patrol division. My captain does all internal investigations and criminal investigations and oversees the detective. But yeah, that payroll, and they were talking about the school district and the city and stuff. Payroll is the absolute killer for we're like any other business. Payroll is it. Payroll is it. Payroll is it. And we're in a time where it's trying to get people to do this job is hard enough. And being one of the lower paid ones makes it even tougher on that. Go ahead, Ken.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, have you guys considered, one of the things the school was talking about was a way to transition or train high schoolers into a job,
Mm-hmm.
essentially, right? And, I mean, I know a lot of boys don't want to be police officers, so I mean.
They have to be 21. Yeah. They can go to the sheriff's department. They can go to the sheriff's department and be a jailer before the age of 21. But in the state of Kansas, you have to be 21 years of age to be certified as a police officer on that. So yeah, that kind of if they can go get a couple years of go in the military for a couple of years, go to college for a couple of years, or work some job for a couple of years, and then come to us. That's the only way that goes on that. So on there, but yeah, and actually 20 years ago, I actually taught a high school class, and I had a couple, but they quit letting us do that because we don't have teacher certification, so they quit letting police officers go in there and teach that. But I had a couple of them that come out of that class that are police officers.
Yeah, long-term stuff.
Yeah.
They're so desperate now.
The job market everywhere is crazy.
Yes, ma'am.
When someone decides to leave prison, escape,
Mm-hmm.
do you or does the sheriff go and look for them?
We all do.
You know?
Yeah. We drive around because I'll be honest with you. By the time, what people don't realize when they notify us that they're running a short count, it takes 3 to 4 hours for them to get the count done. They have to bring everybody. When we finally put out that they have an escape, there's a 3 to 4 hour window on it.
Well, you know what would help if they locked the door.
Well, you get a lot of them that are on. They've got work release programs in where they transport inmates to Leavenworth to Kansas City, and when they have a short count, they have to bring everybody in from every work detail and physically put them in the cell and go through, and then they got to research the prison and then count it again. But yeah, if anybody thinks that it's just, oh, this inmate just walked away, why aren't we notified? Well, he was last seen about 6 hours ago, so he's got a pretty good head start here. And most of them, a lot of them have, somebody comes and picks them up. The minimum security doesn't even have
That's the one I'm
fences.
talking about, where they need to lock the door.
They only have fences around it and their exercise facilities around the building.
I go in there to teach you.
Yeah. Well, the range is right down there too. We lock our cars now whenever we go down there. We didn't used to do that. Yeah, that's cute. But yeah, and that, between that and, well, if you go down there, then when they lock it down, they got to bring everybody in from every work detail on that. We do 24/7 coverage for the city. Holidays, weekends, a lot of the younger ones that we get now, I can work overnights and I can work weekends, and at 6 months into it, well, I don't really like working weekends, I don't like working holidays, and it's like, that's part of it, man. I try to run that 4 officers a shift is when I'm absolutely fully staffed, and I have not been fully staffed in 5 years on that. We run 2 districts. We run a North District and a South District. Mary Street is my separator. Everything north of Mary is North District, and everything south is South District on there. So and that's the easiest cut-through street to go through that provides both sides.
Is there one that, I don't say how it works, but like busier, like they used to have between North and South America?
Nah, they're all the same. Whatever you get, it's the one fun part about this job, especially out here, there's not a whole lot of places that I can say, I'm going to put a car here. Usually if we get something, it's like, okay, we'll put a car up there for a while, so we do it, and then, if people are doing bad things, they see the police car, then they sit there and they run around. That's the other good thing about being known is stopping a lot of cars and doing traffic. Criminals drive everywhere, and even the criminals know that we stop a lot of cars, so they stay in Lansing. So, it has its other benefits on it. I run my fleet. That's another one of my big costs is fleet. I run 14 vehicles right now. I've got four Ford Explorers, 2 Dodge Chargers, 5 Durangos, and 2 Ram 1500s. I just fielded the Ram 1500s on the road last summer just to see how they do it. And actually, it's kind of nice. I took one of them for me to drive. I just wanted to see. I'm going to turn it over to the road when I've got 2 new Durangos on order. I'm going back to a Durango. I don't care for the 1500. So I'm going to put it out on the road, but it is nice having a truck available, so if they have junk or something, they can throw it in the bag, or we have a deer carcass that we have to pick up. We don't have to go, okay, we got to go find a truck, let's go to the street department and try to hijack something. And then what I find is the Explorers are, I don't care for the Explorers because I think they're junk. The Chargers are great, but at about 60,000 miles, you have to replace the front ends underneath them, and they're just, with the way they're designed, that they're good cars, but there's a lot of maintenance on them because just the way they're built. The Durangos have held up pretty good, but found a good one right now that any 2021 or newer Durangos, which are probably 3 or 4 of mine are newer than 2021s, nobody's making front rotors for them for the brakes on it. I just had one go up yesterday, and I had to get them ground down. They had 8 sets of those around the country, and nobody's given them up to get to us because there's no aftermarket police package front rotors for those. No aftermarket companies are making them, and Dodge itself doesn't even have a stockpile of it. So it's like fantastic on that. So that means I have to go to just a standard whatever they sell for the road, a civilian modeled brake pad, which the brake, people that don't know it. Usually your front rotors and pads on police vehicles are beefed up because of the high speeds and having to get them stopped and stuff. So it's going to be an interesting deal. Now that's just one of those parts that you're just like, okay, on that. Usually we try to replace 2 vehicles a year. A lot of my fleet, I go by age because really I don't put mileage on a police car because mileage is inaccurate because the police cars sit and idle so long you have to go on hours. On that, so when you think of that, we work an accident or something, we're sitting out on a traffic accident, we're there for 2 or 3 hours. That's what kills you on a police vehicle. All my cars look great because I keep them in a garage when they're not being used. The guys that's one of my big things. When I first started, I had a 1988 Dodge Diplomat that had 130,000 miles on it. It had a chain drive light bar, and in the dead of winter, when it was 0 degrees outside, if you tried stopping a car and they wouldn't stop, you'd have to get out and bang on it, and then it would start grinding and doing this number. So I grew up taking care of cars, and that's one of my pet peeves with these guys, that I want their cars taken care of, and that's why I don't like them scratched, I don't like them dented. You better find that dent or the scratch before I do, because I'll go ask questions about where it came from. And trust me, there's still I've got some magical fleet gremlin down there that runs over stuff that, I don't know, they damage the car because the guys that are supposed to be driving the cars have no idea how that stuff happened. And I don't know how you couldn't know. But it is what it is. I run an adult daycare and all my kids are armed on that. The biggest challenges that I have right now are recruitment, trying to get people to come here. My last couple of pickups have been really good. They just retired out of the military at Fort Leavenworth as a disciplinary barracks. The gentleman that's down at the academy right now, he just retired. He got cleared out in November. And then T.J. Lewis, and then Brian Hampton, he got out a year and a half, 2 years ago, and then he came on with me, and those guys have worked out great. So, but again, they've done 20, 25 years in service, and they come out here at some point in time. Are they going to go, I've done this for 5 or 6 years, I've had fun, and now I'm ready to quit my second job. I'm done playing cops and robbers, and I want to go see what I want to be when I grow up on that. And then retention, because like I say, if you get 5, 6 years here, I can go down to Johnson County and hook into a department there, and they'll pay the officer for the time that he's already got with me and put him on their pay scale. So if you're a patrol officer, and if I'm a patrol officer here making $60,000 a year, and I can go be a patrol officer down here at $90,000 a year, it's not that hard, especially after 20 some years, because our retirement's based on the highest average of the highest 3 years average of the last 5 of years of service. So a $30,000 bump, what does that do for their retirement?
Does Johnson County, any of the entities or cities there have residency requirements or
No.
No. And if they did, they probably would have gotten rid of it.
Yeah, they've gotten rid of that. We even got rid of our resident. We used to have it where you had to be on the Kansas side, and now it's a 30-mile radius, and you can live in Missouri. I mean, you don't have a choice. Now it's gotten that bad with trying to recruit people, and it gets everything with recruiting, and people either they love firemen and they hate cops, but cops, unfortunately, there's been a lot of bad stuff that's made it into the press that is stupid stuff that doesn't help us. I mean officers doing stupid stuff that just does not help our cause at all on there. I will say this, and every time something happens, I go, and I just go, I'll bet there's a union. I bet they've had problems in the past with issues that the unions come in and been pushed aside, and this didn't just happen, and I guarantee that if looking into it anymore, it's just like, okay. So those are the two big things that I have is just the recruitment and retention.
Kansas on the third resident or no residents? I mean, you can get.
We've had. You can be as long as you're within 30 miles radius of the city. Yeah. So you can. We've had them live almost to St. Joe. I don't know if I've had anybody in Independence. I have to think. I've gone through so many people that it's getting hard to where I can remember where they're at. But I mean, you take 30 miles, and if it's 31.25. Well, the city limits are actually over here, so now we're in that 30-mile radius. Is kind of what we do. But once we get somebody hired, if they don't have, if they have no certification, it takes about 1 to 3 months by the time we get the application, we do our testing, we do all of the background check, the drug testing, the physical to make sure they're healthy enough to do this, and do a psychological evaluation. It takes about 1 to 3 months, depending on how fast we can get everything lined up and going. Once we get that, depending on when, and now with the training academy, they get put on the list. So as soon as we get somebody started, the 12-week FTO training starts, and it's independent of where the 14-week academy is. Because if I can bring somebody on and have them work the road for 4 weeks and they have to go to the academy, then when they get back, they have 8 weeks to complete and they're done. So we roll it all into one bit. So, and I don't mind giving people 2, 3, 4 weeks of actually road training, because when they go to the academy, they're able to go I kind of understand why this is done now, instead of just going, okay, you're coming to work on Monday and you're going straight to the academy, and then they get down there and they see all this stuff, and they, sometimes you don't, why do we take this report, or why do we do this? And if you get a little bit, I've seen it a couple of times, they can kind of go down there and go, I can plug this together now and I have an understanding. Once you get through you have to successfully pass the 14 weeks to get, we're every full-time and part-time police officer in the state of Kansas is certified through the state. We get our certification through Kansas Seapost. And then even after the 14-week academy and the 12 weeks of FTO, every year after that, every full-time officer I have has to get 40 hours of annual training per year. So, and I have to pay for that on that. The other big thing with bringing on an officer is the cost. Body armor. Right now, a lot of my guys, they decided they wanted to go to the outside carriers. I'm traditional. I don't really care for the outside carrier because, trying to get, hey guys, you got your tie? I'm somewhere at home. I lost it. And 30 years ago, when you wore long sleeves in the winter, you wore a tie. So, and that's just, I wear a tie when I wear long sleeves. But the vest that we have, they come with an outside carrier and inside carrier. The panels will interchange, so if they want to wear their vest on the inside, leave it up to them. If they want to wear their vest underneath their shirt, that's fine. If they want to wear it in carrier, that's fine. The nice part about the carriers are when they come up here and do reports, they can pull the vest off, and if it's in the dead of summer, you can kind of let it dry out a little bit. You can air out a little bit while you're doing reports. And they say it's better for your back and all that other good stuff because it puts more of the weight up on your shoulders and not just all, on your duty belt on that. I know back in the day when I sit there and was like, hey, when I had my boots on, my gun belt on, my inner vest, it was about 35 pounds that I was carrying extra on that. So, and that does get, 8 to 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, maybe 6 days a week. There's a lot of officers that end up with knee problems, hip problems, and back problems. And I know I have hip problems because back in the day, got those Don Hume leather belts that you couldn't bend like this, and you cinched them up as tight as you could, and I know that's what gives my hips problems now because of wearing those belts for years and years and years. Duty weapon, we run a Glock 17 9mm. On that, I provide the weapons, and then the time that it does it. So, the vest is about $1,000 to $1,200 per vest, and those are only basically good manufacturer date on those. The warranty date's only 5 years, so every 5 years I have to replace the body armor. Uniforms, it probably cost me anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 a person per uniform, and that includes pants, duty gear, shirts, the fleece-lined parkas for the wintertime, all of that good stuff. Weapon runs about $500 a weapon. If people leave, I get the weapon back, so that's not a recurring cost. But at some point in time, the weapons have to be just over time. The parts wear out, and then the time that it costs to actually, an FTO has to ride with them for the 12 weeks. So I've got their time and just the time to do everything to make sure they're up and going. So I mean, you're talking $5,000 to $6,000 an officer, and if you lose 3 or 4 officers a year, that's $18,000 to $20,000 a year that you're just can't get on there.
Is it pretty common for people to start training and not finish? What's the graduation rate?
At the academy?
Yeah, either that or.
Well, I've had up until about 4 or 5 years ago, I didn't have a problem, and then 4 or 5 years ago, started to have some problems, and a lot of it is I had one problem with somebody that just didn't understand the safety rules and firearms at the academy, and that's a big one down there. That was a really big one down there. And then I had another one that was really having a hard time with the training curriculum. I had two of them that had problems with the training curriculum. But the one thing, they changed their training module at the academy now to where it's more of a hands-on type training. And they recognize if somebody's having problems, they will have people that will help tutor them, or they'll try to find ways to help them learn. They work with them. If they go, this person's in trouble, we're doing something from day one. If they start spotting something after the first set of testings, they're already on it, and so they're trying to get it. So anybody that goes to the academy, they teach you everything that's there. A lot of the tests are multiple choice. I mean, it's not, you've got to do some studying, you've got to do some paying attention, and you just can't go down there and think that I'm at the training academy, I don't have to do anything and I can pass this. There is some effort that has to be made. And some people, you know, what I'm finding is a lot of people are going, I have a really hard time taking a test. That's kind of really hard on that. I can't teach you how to take a test on that. So, but they have changed their training model now to try to get more hands-on stuff so that people are actually having to do hands-on and then give them a test. So I don't know what their, you know, the biggest thing that this is my biggest deal that I talk to with recruits going down there. The blinking lights going off in the corner of your eye going, I probably shouldn't be doing this. Pay attention to that, please. Because it's usually something really, really stupid that gets them booted out of the academy. That is the silliest thing down there, and you hear people that, oh yeah, this, you know, I have an officer come back, they'll come back and say, oh, yeah, this person got kicked out. Why? Well, they were running naked down the hallway. Yeah, that'll do it. On there. Well, what happened? Well, this guy was coming out of one of the women's rooms. That'll do it. On there. On that. Or they, you know, they don't allow them to drink during the time that they're at the academy from Sunday night till Friday night. What happened? Well, he got caught at Red Lobster. You know, he was drinking a couple beers and somebody walked in and saw him. He signed this when he walked in, right? Yep. So he knew. Okay. Yeah. There's not a lot. There's just stupid mistakes that you're just like, why? Okay, Kim. That's the end of it.
I just have two questions.
Okay, I got two answers.
So, do we have a homeless population in Lansing?
There's always, you know, we found tents down at City Park, and we found people that supposedly have been underneath the bridge there at Main and Ida. A lot of it's transient, going back and forth from, you know, Leavenworth has their homeless shelter up on the north end. You know, and a lot of them are, you know, there's a lot of vets that are going from Kansas City VA, and you'll see them walking through here, and, you know, we'll stop and see if they want to.
So what I'm asking is that, you know, on Gilman, my broker and I go for walks, and on Gilman, over by Rock Creek, we go through the woods, and we found a lot of potatoes. And so, thought, okay, somebody's gonna have that for dinner tonight, out there in the woods.
That's kind of a weird one, but okay.
And then we had a structure with sticks, like a little house, you know, and we thought, okay, then we called the police, you know, and said, you know, what's going on? But now it's under construction.
When you get your regulars that go back and forth, they'll find some place to set up a little camp. I mean, in all reality, the ones that we have, you know, they haven't really caused us problem. I mean, we try to move them along.
Because one of my friends at the beginning had the homeless guy, and he wasn't mentally, of course. Okay, and he was banging on her door, and so she had to call the police and say, you know, come pick him up. This was all last year, so maybe they're going this year.
They're very transient. I mean, right now it's cold, so you don't see a lot of them. But when it warms back up, you know, I'll be honest with you. I told you earlier. You know, 5-10 years ago, if I go to Leavenworth now when the lights go out, I didn't carry a gun with me all the time 5 or 10 years ago. And I've been a police officer for 30 years. I don't go into Leavenworth when it's dark without one anymore. Because Leavenworth's the Wild West.
Well, I told you, it was on the news tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Where that kid was killed by a 19-year-old, beaten to death, and died last night at 11 o'clock in front of the old Catholic high school on 6th Street.
Yeah, I read that on the newspaper. They said that they were in there playing basketball, and there was an altercation in there for the basketball, and that's pretty tame for what I've heard and seen going on in Leavenworth. You asked if there was any part of the city that was any more dangerous than the other, right? For Lansing, you know, our big thing out here is we do a lot of domestics. That's what we do, a lot of domestics on that. A lot of the other, I don't even keep the crime stats of, you know, if I could sit there and go, I can't even remember last time we had somebody get killed, and I shouldn't say that because I know what happened now. But a lot of the serious felonies, we don't we don't get, we get reports. We, you know, a lot of what we get are, we get a lot of kids at the high school sending pictures they shouldn't be sending it in. But what
And then there's that pool,
that pool
the pool,
at the high school, the one they're building.
the one that's in the subdivision.
Oh, yeah, that was just
I
great.
think it's calmed down though. But
It has, they've taken care of that. I'm just waiting for this one to get built in Lansing. That ought to be a blast. But, you know, a lot of these kids, I mean, it's down into the middle school area now where they're sending the pictures and stuff. And what people don't realize is that when you take a picture of somebody when you take full nude photos of somebody that's under the age of 18, it doesn't make any difference what grade they're in, as long as they're under the age of 18. Well, if you take the picture, that's production of child pornography. And then you go, hey, I'm going to send this to my friend. That's distribution of child pornography.
Mhm.
Well, once that friend gets it, and he goes, hey, look what's on my phone. This is kind of cool. Now he has possession of child pornography. And he goes, I'm going to send it to my friends. Now you have distribution of child pornography. And, you know, we had an incident several years ago where this happened. A young lady took pictures, sent it to her boyfriend that was on the football team. He sent it to all the football team members, and then they sent it to all their friends. And it was like, it ended up being like 400 people. And it's like, there's no way the county attorney is going to charge that. I mean, this is impossible to go through, because what people don't realize, everything that goes on to this phone, you can hit delete all you want. It ain't gone. It's still there. So that's the other big one.
How's the fentanyl doing? Because we had a death.
Yeah, fentanyl sucks. It's here. It's in Leavenworth like crazy. 2 weekends ago, they ran about 8 overdoses, and they had a bad batch of Mexican fentanyl up here. It's here, and if it's in Leavenworth, it's in Lansing, because there's enough population that goes back and forth. You know, it looks like a funky pill. You know, all my guys, don't touch stuff. Don't reach into cars. You got to glove up to get into cars, because you don't know what you're touching, or you don't know if the money you're touching or anything. You know, fentanyl, heroin. Heroin's another big one that made its comeback. And as always, prescription narcotics.
Do you get calls about those from the schools?
From the school, no. No, because the fentanyl would be a pretty quick one on this one. You know, it was a fake Percocet pill. It was a Mexican Percocet that had fentanyl in it. Probably real sure of that one. And that's what's coming up right now out of Mexico. They're stamped to look like Percocets, and they're not. They're fentanyl pills on that. So, but yeah, fentanyl is big, and yeah, like I said, we've had over the last 2 years, we've had some. It's not like Leavenworth, 6 in one day. I mean, it was a weekend, because one of the guys that works here is a Leavenworth fireman. He's like, oh man, he goes, Leavenworth, they had, I think it was 6 or 8 in one day, that the shift he was working, that it was all, you know, it was all fentanyl related overdoses. You know, and then you have Narcan, and you hit them, and they get mad at you because you brought them out of their high, and then, you know, but there's a lot of repeat customers that keep overdosing on fentanyl, and they hit them with the Narcan, and they bring them back, and they hit them with fentanyl, and they bring Narcan, and they bring them back. So it's not uncommon for them to have people that are running 8, 9, 10 times on overdoses of fentanyl. But yeah, it's, you know, it's just the batches that come in. You got good batches, you got bad batches, and you go from there. And the people that, you know, have to do the fentanyl, trying to track it down as to where they got it and stuff. Nobody knows anything, and nobody wants to talk to us about where it all came from. But on it, but yeah, and you know, K7, K5, those are great pipelines. K7, K5, and 45 highway or 9 highway coming out of North Kansas City going into Leavenworth. It's easy. Yes, sir.
So 2 questions. One, kind of piggybacking on that, with the high school that just passed away. I think it's next week. They're doing
One pill, one
one
kill.
pill can kill, or one pill can, yeah. Are you guys? I don't. It's not that it matters. Are you guys speaking at that?
No, we don't. Kansas City, Kansas Fire Department had that program, and it was down at Baser, and it had really good response. So the school district contacted them, because they actually have the presenters that they have the material, they have the knowledge. We're going to be over there. You know, it's an event that, yeah, we need to be over there. But as far as the speaking part of it, they've got all the information. We're not part of that. Yes.
The other question I have, this is just whatever. So a couple weeks ago at our church, we had an older lady who had a seizure, and so called 911, and they were very quick coming. And but I just always wondered, why does a fire truck almost Lansing ambulance will come, and then just a random fire truck is.
A lot of your firemen, a lot of firefighters are paramedics.
Okay.
So you don't ever know where, there's an EMS station on Eisenhower. There's one at 15th and Metropolitan, and there's one down on the south end of the county. And if all the ambulances are busy out of this fire station or the EMS station on Eisenhower, then they're pulling one either out of North Leavenworth or the one's got to come out of Tongi. So it's usually a mutual aid because that way they just have more people on scene. They can, if they need somebody to drive the ambulance to the hospital, so that the EMS techs can work on the person, the firemen will jump in there and the fire trucks go there. Plus, firemen they're bored all the time, so they just like driving the trucks.
I just remember there was like multiple cars, and then our fire truck came, and I was like, this feels unnecessary. It was fine. They helped her, and it was all great. But she's fine. But yeah, I just didn't know. Like,
yeah, and it's usually a mutual aid on that. Sometimes sometimes fire truck can beat EMS, beat them there on that, and that way they can start because none of my guys are paramedic or EMT or not EMT, but paramedic trained or anything. We're firefighters. A lot of firefighters have to have their paramedic certification to be a firefighter. So they're able to provide a lot more advanced medical diagnosis than what we on it.
Just one more question.
Uh-huh.
So I'm on Highway 7 coming from Pulver home.
Okay.
And going north, and KDOT did not mow the grass.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
In Lansing, you should probably siphon because you're only allowed to have 8 inches,
All right. On that.
So, of course, I have to have a deer come out of the median, and I came to a stop, but it hit me anyway, and it dented my whole door.
Mm-hmm.
So, there was a nut going around abducting women, and I thought, I am not hanging around waiting for a police officer. I'm going home, and I'll call him when I get home. So I go into Rock Creek, and I call it, and the police officer said, well, why didn't you stay there? And I said, because you got a nut.
Yep.
Abducting woman, and here it is. I need this for my insurance, blah, 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 and go pick up the deer.
Yep.
Okay. So my question is when that happens, does the police report note that the grass is high and tells the city, tell KDOT to come mow the grass, and
We don't tell KDOT anything because KDOT won't listen to us on them. Besides that, the deer technically, we used to say the deer belong to the state of Kansas, and the state told us don't do that anymore because that way once we put the deer belong to them, then they're responsible for it. So they act next to us doing that. Yeah, no, on the deer accidents like that, if anybody here thinks that a city's going to tell KDOT to do anything, no, you ain't going to get. When we used to have the parades that for the high school, and the high school was over here on Lion Lane, and we'd come out Ida Street and make the Little John onto Kansas. Had a KDOT stop me one time and say, do you have a permit for this? And went, no. And he was like, well, you're probably going to shut it down. I was like, just, go back to your office and get that information, bring it back to me. By the time you're there, I was done. I'm like, yeah, we ain't here long enough. But if you do anything on the highway, you're supposed to have a permit. And I've had them come through and say, question stuff we're doing. And it's like, okay, whatever. So, thank you. Have a nice day, sir.
but I noticed that south of us, their grass gets mowed pretty regularly, and ours does not. So do they not like us? Or is it too far north?
There's probably some crazy lady that keeps asking for a light that they just don't anymore. They're scared to go any farther north on K7, thinking that she's going to put a light in.
Yeah. And so then they come to mow the grass, but then where the bridge is that you were
Yeah.
talking about, well, we're gonna let that grow at least.
They usually go in once a year and spray Roundup all over that, and that's why it turns all brown, and they try killing it all out through there. So that's when you see the big truck with the sprayer in it, they're spraying Roundup all over the grass, because they don't want to get in there with weed eaters and mow it out.
Leave that alone.
Well, there's been an accident I saw coming north, just north of Palfer and south of Markson. I don't know how somebody did this, but there was a green sign that had 3 posts, and somebody slid off the road and took out one of the posts, and that sign's still standing on 2 posts. And I've seen it for like the last 3 or 4 weeks, and I'm like, they're getting out here, getting that post redone. I don't know what it is, and it's whatever the section is, because I think they mow this out here 2, maybe 3 times a year, if if that. They run the brush hog down at both sides, and they go all the way back down, and then go up. The fun part's going to be down at Parallel when they get those J cuts done. That's going to be real
I'm not
nice.
going that way, I'm making a left on
Yeah.
Culver, and making a right on 123rd, and I am bypassing
that-
that for the next 2
Isn't
years.
that our,
It's called the J cut, and
It's kind of like a circle, but it's not.
yeah, they're gonna do away with the turn at Parallel. And if you
Can't
see
do
that,
left turns,
they're,
right?
they're not gonna make a left turn on Parallel. And if you look on the north side and the south side, all the construction's going there. So what basically, if you're going south and you wanna go east on Parallel, you'll go past it, and it's actually gonna be a hook that you gotta come around and gain enough
And
speed.
get on the right-hand
And then try to
side.
jump over to the right-hand side, to make a right-hand turn on Parallel.
I'm telling you, go down Culver, make a right on 123rd.
KDOT knows all, and they say it is, so
It's supposed to eliminate or severely reduce T-bone accidents.
We'll see.
yeah,
When's that supposed to go into effect? When are they-
whenever they get it done. Yeah.
There's
They'll-
a limit there.
Yeah, it won't be.
Oh,
Yeah, because they'll take that, they'll cut that all the way across, because it's gonna be the same way. If you're coming down Parallel and you wanna keep going west on Parallel, you're gonna have to make a right-hand turn, jump lanes, make a jark jump lanes, and make a right-hand turn. Yeah, so, yeah, the J cut's never, that's as bad as good as when they put out construction. They go, well, if everybody just followed the zipper where they just cars went in like this, and I'm like, yeah, that works until you got the one zipper that's going and trying to cut in on everybody on it. So, but
And add all those trucks to it, that'll be fun.
yeah.
That'll really be fun.
KDOT works on the assumption that common sense is common. And, we had an accident out here last week, and there were people trying to drive through it, and, I'm just like, I'm sitting in my office watching my guys. I've got 2 police cars, an ambulance, and a fire truck sitting in this intersection. And there's no way to make a left-hand turn. I watched 2 cars drive right between the police cars and the fire truck to make a left-hand turn, because that's the way they always go. It's just like, and my guys are over there screaming and waving their arms, and I'm just like, on it. But what you find, when we used to have 5Ks out in the city, people running 5K runs in the city, you would be amazed how many people on a Saturday or Sunday follow the exact same route at the exact same time of day, no matter what. This is the way they go. And we would, Francis Sales would be having the charity 5K run going down Ida, and we would take more flack from people complaining about this 5K. And it's going to be clear here in 5 minutes, because by God, they drive that way every Saturday, and how dare we block them from not making this turn? And it was just like,
There's no other way to go.
well, and that's what people think on a lot of it.
I will say, recently when they had there was a wreck there at 4-H in DeSoto,
Mhm.
man, that kind of threw things off. Different,
Yeah.
a lot of different traffic patterns out there.
Yep,
trying to get kids to the high school or.
you know what, trying to get people to figure out that intersection, 4-H and DeSoto Road could actually go very good. It's the easiest intersection, and I said that, and I pulled up there tonight to come here, and there was a car that came this way, and there was one that came right at me, and he stopped, and I wasn't the first one to stop, and this car makes his turn, and this guy just sat there and looked at me, and I'm just like, dude, you were there first. Fine, I'm gonna go. And then as soon as I start going, he starts rolling, and I'm like, and we probably sat there for like 5 seconds, and it's like, this is why this traffic backs up, is that people would go, okay, I gotta go. It's supposed to be a roundabout at some point in time, but it's gonna be a big roundabout when they put that one in, on that. So I don't know, that's a project that's out there quite a
You
ways.
think those high school kids are gonna get in the man stuff?
You know what? As many roundabouts that are going around everywhere now, by the time that one goes in, people should have plenty of experience with roundabouts on that. But there's, and back to the crime. That we've got our domestic, we've got drugs here. If anybody doesn't think that we do, they're absolutely crazy. There are drugs in the schools. There's pills in the schools. If anybody thinks that Lansing High School is exempt from any drugs, they're crazy. We've got vapes over there. We got THC vapes over there. We've got all kinds of stuff over there. On it, we've got the same problems that every other high school has. Maybe not quite to the degree on some issues, but we've got just as many on other issues that we deal with. On that, fentanyl is the big one right now, and I'm sure in 5 or 6 years there'll be some new drug that comes out that's even. See what's fentanyl? Fentanyl is 50 to 100 times more potent than heroin. I believe that's what what I did, and I did, when I, people don't realize this, but if you take a grain of salt that you would put on, I mean, just one grain, that's enough to kill you. If you touch that, if you went like that, and touch that fentanyl, right, and it'll absorb into your system. On that, that one grain of fentanyl is enough to kill you. On that, it doesn't take much. But fentanyl is the big increase right now. Meth is still going along good. I don't hear of as much coke as you used to, because now I think it's all fentanyl and Percocet. It's a lot of prescription pain medication, narcotic pain medication. That's your big stuff. I would say within the next 5 to 6 years, weed will be legal in Kansas, and I see that coming. Okay. It's here already. I mean, everybody uses it now, and it's not, it's like, I don't advocate for or against. I'm just like, it's already here, and we spend a lot of time on it, and Colorado's legal, Missouri's now legal, it's legal on both sides of us, so. Yes, sir.
From a police officer standpoint, as you've seen, I don't know how to say weed one way or the other, but in the places that you've seen that have made it legal, because it used to be like, well, this is a gateway to whatever, right? And now it's so common that you just feel like, well, we don't talk about this so normally, but do you see any connection between like states that have made it legal to, like, if high school is saying, well, that's not a big deal, and now it's legal, then it makes other things easier or more accessible, or the desire for it more? Like other drug usage go up, or like some people advocate, if you make it legal, then they'll be fine with that, and they won't be.
How many people in this class, when they were in high school, they were able to get alcohol? They probably should. They had a friend that could get it for them, and how many people ended up being alcoholics or anything else when they did it? The deal with drugs, whether it be weed and being a gateway, I'll make it simple how I view life. You've got your kids over here that aren't ever going to use it and don't want nothing to do with it. You got your ones here in the middle that are going to try it and don't want to use it anymore because it was kind of a kid thing and gone this way. You've got your kids that are going to try it and they're going to go over here, and you've got your. Doesn't make any difference what you put over here. You can put model airplane glue, and they're going to get addicted to that. They're going to get it. They're going to be huffers and do gold paint. It's really kind of up to the person because addictive substances. I think everybody has a potential to be addicts to something, and everything is so prevalent now that if you wanted it, it's not that hard to get. It's pretty simple and easy. I think. It's going to be up to what you're going to see when it's legal. You're going to see individual companies come up with policies and say, well, it may be illegal in the state. It's just like alcohol. You can't drink alcohol when you're at work. So now is going to be the fun part about, well, when can you smoke this and how long does it stay in your system? Because I'll be quite honest with you, I really don't want a couple of my guys coming to work that are handling guns going, hey, I just smoked some weed before I came. 2 hours. Well, you can't drink any either. So I think you'll see some kind of policy, something come out where it's going to turn around to individual entities making a decision. And, you got a high enough paying job and they go, we don't want this in your system, you're either going to go, yes, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. And it's going to be individual choice.
You notice, like, in the places that, I'm sure the research is out, does it increase?
I don't know if the hard part about it is a lot of times when they sit there and they legalize it, then you've got a lot of people that now flock there. So does that, how does that, hey, I can, you got your ones that, and don't get me wrong, I'm all for medical marijuana. My second wife died of cancer. I wouldn't care if she took medical weed or not when she was going down. I think big pharma is blocks a lot of stuff that could be helpful for people that would cost a whole lot less. On there. But yeah, you know what? Medical marijuana, I'm 100% good for it. If somebody's going through that end of life stuff, whatever makes them feel better, let them have it. You're always going to have people that are going to abuse whatever. You're going to have people that are going to abuse alcohol, and they're going to, you're going to have your kids in high school that drank, and they wouldn't touch drop now. And you're going to have your kids in high school that drank, that they're alcoholics, and they've ruined their life with it. And that's, you can offer the help, you can offer everything you want, but a lot of it comes down to genetics on that.
I just moved from Oklahoma, and they have legal, medical marijuana, but it's not hard to get a medical card. Anyway, one of the challenges they're having is blood alcohol level you can test and measure, but they hadn't really come up with a good way to measure the amount of
Yeah.
weed that was in your system, even though you were impaired, so that was kind of a big challenge, like, It's kind of hard to measure.
What's the level of impairment?
yeah.
You know, I know places like Oregon and Washington, they want to legalize everything. That is just freaking crazy.
And they want their guns, let me tell you.
Yeah, I don't have an issue. You know, everybody's got damn gun.
I know, I'm talking about the AKs and all the goods.
I got those too. Everybody around here has one.
I know.
I tell you what, here's how hotbed it is. I've had officers and I've had people tell me, you know what, we love you to death. We'll do anything for you. You come for our guns, we'll kill you. I ain't got, you know, you can have all those you want. I don't know who you're gonna go get them.
But they have a severe, because my kids just moved from Kansas out to Washington.
Oh,
Horrible problem with the homeless. Homeless. You
Yeah.
go on the highway up to SeaTac, and it's all tents, and they're crazy. They steal trucks, they have semis laying on the floor, they steal cars, they do all kinds of bad stuff. It is incredible with their guns.
on it. That's, you know, Kansas is now, Kansas is a constitutional carry state, on it, which means, you know, if you're of age and you can legally possess a gun, you can carry a gun concealed. Everybody's got a gun in Kansas, on it. That's, you know, and that's, you know, I've had less people, I'm less scared of people that are sitting there going, I've got a gun, because most of them are gonna help me out. But like I said, there's people out here that's one of those hotbed issues that I'm like, I'm good. You can keep whatever you want, because I'm not knocking on your door on that. Because that's one of those issues that people are just like, don't. And you're like, okay, they can enact all the laws you want, but you won't find a police department knocking on a door saying that we're here to take your stuff, because you're going to run out of officers faster. You're going to run out of people to knock doors on.
Does Kansas have open carry?
I don't know why you would open carry.
Well, people that are.
They do it. But that's, I'll be honest with you. Open carry, I don't. The only time I will ever open carry is if I'm in uniform, because you know what? People already know that I'm a cop. If I'm not in uniform, you don't know if I have a gun or not. These people that walk through Walmart or Dillon's and they're like, and I'm like, well, you just told me where I get my second gun if I need it. Thank you. Why? You know, all you're doing is telling everybody that, look at me, I have a gun, because all I'm going to do is, you know, if I was a bad guy, I'd just shoot you in the back of the head and take it. I mean, simply, you just told me who the threat was on that. You just told me that guy's armed, so guess who's the first person I'm going for is him. And I'll be honest with you, some of the people that I see carrying guns, it's like, well, you spent all that money on that gun, and you got that crappy ass holster, you're not getting it out very fast on there. But that's, yeah, I think Kansas, you can open carry as long as there's no signs, because like the Legends has signs up that say no open carry of firearms. So you can open carry, but Kansas is, anywhere in the state of Kansas, if you're of age and you can legally possess a firearm, you can carry concealed everywhere. And, you know, Walmart, they can put their signs up all they want. If I've got a sweatshirt on and I've got a gun on, there's nobody there patting me down. I mean, who's going to know if I have a gun or not on that? So, and that's why I say everybody carries a gun. And I knew that 30 years ago when I started. And it wasn't the people that were carrying the guns that scared me more than anything else, because they usually, hey, I got a gun on me. Okay, thanks, you're backing me up, man. Okay. But we also live in a prison town. So I expect everybody to have guns around.
And military.
And military. So, on that whole bit. But that's, you know, like I said, Kansas, or Lansing has been one of the safest cities for a lot of years. We have our crime just like everybody else, and every now and then we have a spat with, you know, what I call violent crime. We have our rapes, we have our homicides, we have our ag robberies. You know, we have those. They're just few and far between on that, which is, you know, every town's going to have a homicide. You know, you're going to have at least one every 10 years, no matter what. Some places have more than that. Some places have less. Whatever goes on in the city of Leavenworth, it goes on here. If it's drugs are a big thing, because there's a lot of people who live in Lansing that have problems with drug issues. They go into Leavenworth to get it. And I probably have people out here in the city of Lansing that are selling, and people from Leavenworth come out here and get it out here. The groggery, that's one of the best bars in the area, so we get a lot of calls on the groggery up here, of fights and people beating up on each other and all that other good stuff. So, you know, we have all of that. We've got the traffic going back and forth, like I said, K7, K5, two main thoroughfares going through town, and K7 coming right through the middle of town. So we've got drugs coming from Kansas City to Leavenworth and probably here in Lansing.
Most of these issues you guys get from the schools.
From the schools, the kids using their iPads inappropriately. I mean, that's really the big thing with schools. We've had, this last fall, we did have a case where, a couple of kids said, they wrote something out and they, we found a couple of guns in the car out in the parking lot. Don't know if they were going to do anything, but, they were talking that, we're going to shoot something up, and that got everybody's attention, and did find the guns and all this other stuff. But it gets real interesting when that happens, and you find out 3 months prior, one of the kids had written a story, and the teacher had saw it and didn't bother to tell anybody about it for 3 months. That was like, thank you on that. So, there's been kids that have come through this high school that you're like, I'm glad they made it out of high school and moved on, because it's just, they were bad news. And there's one in prison now that came through high school, and I'm surprised he didn't do something while he was in high school. But he's in prison for aggravated attempted murder. Shot a guy up in the north end of the county over a drug deal. So that's a lot of what we get with schools, is a lot of the inappropriate photographs and stuff like that. When I say sex crimes, I don't say necessarily sex crimes going on within the school, but I lump child pornography and stuff into that.
Are you typically getting calls like from parents related to those type of things? Or?
Sometimes we get them from the parents. Sometimes the school will get an iPad back and they start going through it and they're like, "Ah!" Call the police.
They give an iPad.
Gosh,
Like,
and use the
iPads.
school's iPad?
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Why
yeah,
would
yeah,
they
yeah,
give them
yeah.
iPads? No, because why,
Everything's-
where does
that's
textbooks gone?
Yeah, but everything's
Why take
technology
them
now.
away and give them, like,
The iPad's cheaper than buying all the books, because you download all the books on the iPad, and the iPads, I don't know, you can probably, schools get them, so the Apple's giving them for $500 or $600, and if you reuse them, for a couple of years. You don't have to store books, because, over at the high school, there's no lockers, only in the,
yeah, and why would they build a school without lockers? I think that's just, even the middle school has no lockers.
that's a $62 million investment over there that they did. When Beth was here and she was talking about the property taxes and how the school was so high, there you go. So yeah, there's no lockers, no textbooks. They went high on the technology end of it, on the whole bit. But yeah, that's every now and then we get high school stuff for the kids. You got two young men that are arguing about something, and it usually deals with a female, and by God, we're going to prove who's the best one over here, and we're going to fight in the bathroom and figure this out. We get those, where they, by God, they're going to fight. We get a lot of debate pins out of there that come in on that, and that's it's going to be interesting. I think is it next year when every district in the state can allow anybody to go to any district they want to, as long as there's room. They don't have to take like Lansing's, and it's got to be all district students, and you have to get accepted to go. I think there's one of those. My SRO was talking about that they're going to be opening up to where if school can hold 1,500 people, then if somebody wants to go to Lansing from wherever, they can go in, and that's going to be statewide, from what I gather. I don't know. I may be off on that. But yeah, the rest of the stuff, everything else that goes on in the city, we have the same thing that we deal with the same stuff that KCK, KCMO, Overland Park, all of them deal with. The biggest thing is I don't have specialized units. I don't have detective squads. I don't have cold case squads. Usually if we hook it, we got to cook it. So, I got a patrol officer that gets a hold of whatever crime. He could work 12 to 16 hours trying to get through that, and have to follow up on it, do all the stuff with it until the detective can come in and do it. So we actually got to wear a lot more hats than a lot of people do. The smaller the agency, the more hats they got to wear to get stuff figured out. If something big really kicks off, I can call the sheriff's department, I can call LMRP, I can call any agency in the county and get assistance, depending on how big it is on that. So we have a mutual aid. If there's ever an active shooter at any business, anywhere in the county, at any school in the county, when that bell rings, all the agency heads have already made the decision. If Pleasant Ridge has an active shooter and it's during the weekday, everybody that's on my shift, everybody that's on shift, including my hand, man, we're going that way, and we're calling our next people to come back in and kill. So once the bell goes off, we're just going. And usually you have to wait for permission. We already said don't wait for permission, just go, because it's going to take us 15, 20 minutes. I can probably make Pleasant Ridge High School if I have to. I I can do it for 20. Yeah, I can do it for 20. I may be able to do it a little quicker than 20 on it. But you're still, that's the good thing. You know, Pleasant Ridge High School, even the schools out there on that far end, you know, for us, that's, you know, you're talking 15 or 20 minutes, and that's going Mach 1 to get out there. So, I mean, that's a lifetime on that. So, anyways, that's all I have.
So how bad do you think the traffic is going to be?
That's the third question. You only said 2.
How bad do you think the traffic's going to be? Because if you live within 2 miles of your school, you're not getting bus service.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, yeah. So the kids in Rock Creek get to walk up Highway 7 to go down to the elementary school. Or mom and dad will bring you to school.
They'll bring them in. It's already messed up with the traffic flow because, well, I'll be honest with you, traffic engineers, I don't think they have any experience on directing. I mean, everything looks great on paper until you build it, and then all of a sudden it don't work quite right. And that's why, you know, it's being in the school year, I don't even send officers over there to the elementary school because here's what, you know, everybody's like, why don't you put a police officer there? Because people get stupid and they want me there every day, and I can't put people there every day, so figure it out. It was this way last year, it's going to be this way next
But
year.
it should be a PIP.
On
I
it.
don't know very many housing divisions that are over 2 miles.
And our backyard is just, you know.
Yeah.
It covers it.
And that's something, you know, really with what you pay for, I mean, if they've been, I mean, what's the big deal? If they're busting them now, why are they taking it away? I mean, that is a question for the school, the school board to answer.
Oh, would that be?
Oh, their cost now?
Well, I mean,
My
it's
kids are like,
to get
we'll pay
state,
$400.
I think the state
Whatever.
will pay, if they're over
Like,
like 2.5 miles, the state will reimburse the school for the busing, but they don't reimburse anything within 2.5, so
It
that's
has
why.
been free this whole time.
Yeah, so that-
Starting next year.
They want everybody to pay for their own
Well,
busing.
yeah.
So we're gonna pass more cost on to the parents. Yeah, I'm glad I don't have any kids in school anymore. How about that? All right. The schools are definitely, traffic engineers do not get police department input for traffic control. Because I knew when the elementary school went in, way they had that drawn up, I was like, oh, hell no. That ain't gonna happen. I don't even go over there on the first week of school because I don't want to see it. I already know it's a mess. And there's no way to fix it. I mean, that's just the problem. There is no way to fix this mess. You've got one road coming off Marion, you got one exit going out onto Bittersweet.
Now throw a pool in back.
Yeah, well, you know, you only got to deal with that through September, Labor Day weekend, and that's even that, because trying to find lifeguards now, that's why the Kansas City Metros couldn't have their pools all open, you know, last year, because they couldn't find lifeguards. So. Delete it. It's 8 o'clock. Shut that off. Shut that off. No, the pool's gonna be an interesting issue on that, and that's, you know, like I said, my job as a police chief is to forecast stuff, and the pool is gonna be a very interesting dynamic that we haven't been accustomed to. So we'll have to make adjustments, as we always do. So. Anyways, thank you all for coming tonight. I'm sorry. I thought I was only going to take 45 minutes, but somebody won't answer questions. Got a lot of questions to ask. Yeah. But thank you. They were all very good questions. I do appreciate it. I hope it's been a little bit, like I said, I'm on my 33rd year. Yeah, it's 33 years. I started in 1990. I count that. Yeah, 33. On that. I have no idea when I'm going to be done. I was hoping to go in 2 years, and that's changed. So I don't know when I'll be done. So I enjoy what I do. There's days where I'm like, why am I doing this? And there's other days where it is great. You know, the biggest thing that a lot of the biggest thrills that I get out of this job is when I have officers come in and they go someplace else and they continue to do better. You know, sometimes I've been stopped at the grocery store by, I can remember a time at Dillon's I got stopped by this burly guy. And he goes, "You're Chief Wayman, aren't you?" And I just went, I'm about ready to get my ass kicked because this guy does not look good. And he goes, "You don't remember me, do you?" And I went, "No." And he goes, "I was this kid and I lived over here." And I went, "I do remember you." And he goes, "Man," he goes, "I am sorry for what I put you guys through." And I was like, "Oh, okay, how's life?" And he goes, "I got 4 kids of my own now." And he goes, I'm a stay-at-home dad. And I was like, how's that working for you? He goes, I'll tell you what, they ain't gonna get by with half the stuff I did, because I know I was a problem, and you know what, they're gonna grow up and they're gonna be smart, but I appreciate what you guys did and what you guys did for me, and I know I didn't make it easy on you. And I was like, thank you. Because he was a lot bigger than I was, and I was like, oh, this is not gonna be good. But there's times where you see that where somebody goes, hey, you were trying, and that was the good, that's a good part, seeing the success stories out there, because I have seen my share of unsuccessful stories.